I would say between new wind and clean membrane, or the water segment, I would draw a parallel if you want, because there are a lot of diversity in new wind, many companies here today, and you need a lot of multiplicity of technology to treat water in general. Whether it is drinking water or the dirtiest water on earth, like produced water, which is what I call INTUs, and ITDS, supercharged water, which are very, very challenging because they have a lot of salts. You need a diversity of technology. Not a single technology will win. So today the theme was about technology to technology company to talk to each other. I think they are absolutely correct to say that, because you need to have an aggregate level of technology pulled together in order to solve a complex problem. Even drinking water requires a bunch of technology to be assembled together. And produced water is another example, and industrial waters too are quite challenging, and you need to bring many technology to the same platform in order to address those issues. Clean membrane was incorporated probably the worst week ever, which was the week when Lehman Brothers crashed in New York in September 19, 2009. And we were able to grow the business. In fact, it was 2008, I should say. And we were able to raise money and develop the company having a license from MIT for non-fouling membranes, so membranes which have the ability to rejuvenate themselves. And we have been developing several products to address the pre-RO, pre-reverse osmosis water treatment in order to, I would say, ease the job of the reverse osmosis cartridges, as well as adding products to the oil and gas technology just after the oil removal, when there's still a bit of oil in the water, and when you want to reuse the water for refracking, for example. So, so we did some testing in some oil field early in February this year, and we have some interesting results. We still need to develop the technology beyond that level, because it's a quite challenging environment with a lot of salt, and combining our technology with some other partners will probably be where to go in the future. Yeah. Water, which is, when you extract oil, you can get 5 to 15 barrels of water for 1 barrel of oil. So you get a lot of water coming at you. And many companies would try to reuse this water or to purify it to a point that it can be reused. It doesn't need to be absolutely pure from a mineral standpoint. You need to remove everything, but it needs to be clean enough in order to be reused in refracking, in order not to plug the wells, in fact, the disposal wells. So you need to do some treatment. The industry is ready to involve some cost in treating water, but not too much. So you have really to bring the level of cost necessary for them to reuse the water, but not to a point that it's absolutely ridiculous to treat the water, because it will be too costly. It will have. I was drawing a parallel between the new wind diversity earlier and the necessary assembly of technology onto the same platform. You can bring a combined solution, for example, adding oxidation in addition to ultrafiltration. This is what we do with our UF membrane. Or you can add even distillation and filtration, ultrafiltration. Or you can add ultrafiltration and nanofiltration, or reverse osmosis if you want to go a step further in adding purification. So there are all kinds of technology depending on the outcome that you expect from your water treatment. Many technology that you can bring to the same platform in order to combine into a real solution for the customers. I think the challenge in the space are the conservatisms in, water has been granted to everybody free of charge. I mean, if you have a chance to go to Paris from time to time, you can enter a bar and asking for a free glass of water. You should not pay for your glass of water, so there is no cost. There is no price to water. People are not aware enough. So for the industry, the large industry, the power industry is consuming a lot of water. Second, the agriculture is using a lot of water. I do believe that those two industries can benefit from water reuse. And but water treatments are old. I mean, they have been used for hundreds of years, and there is not a lot of innovation in water treatment. So what our company can bring to the party is the faculty of having some membrane that can be renewable, regenerated with no use of chemical for some application. We understand that for very, very difficult application, you might have to reuse also membranes, but using some chemicals to do what we call CIP, which are heavy chemical treatment in order to clean the membrane for them to be reusable, in fact. But for some application having to do with tap water, we had some very good experiment where you could load a filter for a couple of weeks and then you do a quick wash and all the dirt goes away, and then you can have a brand new membrane to start with for reusable, for using your membrane for reverse osmosis application, for example. It is amazing technology. You just need to find its market, and it's a competitive market there. And you need to do a lot of testing. Testing takes time, takes money. I would say we had been advocate of having some test bed developed in Massachusetts in order precisely to do some testing, because there is not too much fracking water available in Massachusetts, and or even industrial water. So today we have to deal with our own contacts in order to find places to get some industrial water or wastewater from municipalities in order to do some real testing. Because testing in the lab is good, but you have to get into the field to get real traction and to understand really if your technology works. Oh, I have a very good relationship with Newin. In fact, not to name her, but Karen Goldmer is still an advisor to our company. So, and she has been a good friend for many years. So we have always been connected with Newin, and it's quite important. You know, the network of university here around MIT and Northeastern as well, and BU and so on is quite interesting. It's really important. I was bumping today into some water people from the MIT Water Lab and so on, water group, and it's critical. The solution will come from combining intelligently some technology, having the proper protocol. So it's great if you have a fantastic membrane. It's even better if you can associate your membrane with the proper protocols, the proper equipment, and having a kind of slim solution to propose to the customer, because at the end of the day, it's all about cost. And since the cost of water today is very cheap, because nobody is really paying for water, it is heavily subsidized, it's important that any solution that the industry in general is bringing to the market has to be extremely competitive to grab customers' interest and potentially investors' interest as well. You know, many societies do believe that water is a right, and I do believe that there might be an interesting approach to think about when we think about water. I would say the first cubic meters or first thousands of gallons maybe should be free of charge for feeding a family, and but the additional quantity of water being used to wash your car or to loan your backyard should be paid at a higher price, and the excessive water that you might need into your pool could be paid at a higher price, and so on. So there should be different level for making sure that water can be affordable for everybody, but also that water could be available to industry at a certain cost. And if there is a cost for this industry, there will be an opportunity to bring innovative solution to reuse. If the cost of water, surface water or river water is too cheap for many industries, there will be no incentive to either reuse it or recycle it. You know, California, yes, they are probably paying, I don't know precisely, but they should pay more, or they are probably paying more today for fair water and so on. In India, I do know that, and it was mentioned this morning during the conference, that reverse osmosis is only possible for people who can afford it, who can have a reverse osmosis system. But I have seen many times when reverse osmosis was proposed as a technology to solve the water problem in India, that many people in the administration in India were against that, because you are throwing away between 50 to 70% of water, which goes to the retentate, and the permeate, the quantity of water which is already produced for being used, is quite small. So reverse osmosis is a great technology, but in that case there are some limitations, because you are taking some good enough water for treatment, but you are throwing away 50 to 70%. This is why alternative technology, treating raw water and making 90% of the water, of the fluid itself, available to the consumer. The consumer could be somebody drinking the water. The consumer could also be somebody using the water for a golf course or for a lawn or for agricultural need. So there should be a way of segregating the applications or the use of water. I mean, it's totally aberrant today that the same tap water we use for drinking is used to flush your toilets and clean your car and do all kind of activities. I understand also that the doubling or triplicating the network for different kind of water on a building is quite expensive. So it can only be done in places where you have either a brand new project, and this is probably a solution, or in industries where you can have a different kind of water, tap water, industrial water, processed water, and wastewater recycle. So, but I think it should be the trend, because we have seen the scarcity of water around the world is obvious. It's not obvious in New England, but it is obvious in many other places. I think people can see the water problem more and more right now. I think it's more difficult because it has to do with infrastructure, and if it's your private business, you can probably control from A to Z, assuming you can control many things. When you have to do with water, there are too many stakeholders. I mean, water comes from many places, from the rain, from water, from rivers, from lakes, and so on. It's everybody's problem. Everybody is impacting water at the source, and everybody is impacting water on the pollution side. I mean, everybody is, everything we ingest from drugs to any kind of product is ending up into the water. So it's everybody's problem. It's also everybody's resource. And since it requires everybody to make some kind of effort, it's much more difficult than just addressing a software issue or an app on an iPhone and so on. You have really to involve all the stakeholders in the society, and it's quite difficult. So there is an awareness issue, there is an education issue for sure. It's also a huge infrastructure issue because solving your own water problem at home with your small Brita product doesn't go very far. You need really to have a global approach. I'm very happy with what I've seen in Massachusetts, where SWIM a couple of years ago was absolutely an unknown acronym, and where now these states, which is known for biotech and software industry and robotics, is now endorsing many initiatives related to water treatment. So it's good to see that even in Massachusetts, where water is not missing. There were a certain number of companies this morning available in the room, which are tech company, as Nadav mentioned. Not too many are beyond $10 million revenue. In fact, some companies like our company are below the threshold and are not generating revenue yet. So what is the impact? It's still modest at this time. From a venture capitalist standpoint, there used to be some VCs interested into it. There are not too many VCs involved into that. Personally, we are funded by some kind of family funding, which is quite interesting. But funding new technology is kind of long-term return from a traditional VC or private equity standpoint. And you need to have enough revenue to generate significant EBITDA for, I would say, raising people's interest in investing into your business. So I think we have been lucky enough to find a solid investor which invested into our company. I think funding has not been too much of a problem. I think what Newing could do, or what the local consortium of companies could do here, is really to foster communication, because I do believe that it will only by grouping technology and forcing people to even group company and to merge company into a larger organization, that will really help solving issue. I mean, it's very difficult to have too many companies looking at just one slot of a business instead of addressing the whole gamut, in fact. Yes, and water is a big misnomer. I mean, if you quiz people in the street and if you say, what do you think about water? Are you concerned about water? If you would ask me this question, I would say, sure, I'm concerned about water, but what are we talking about? Because water, I used to be working in the ultra high purity water in my previous company, Millipore, Microlis, serving water for the semiconductor industry or for the pharmaceutical industry. This is a triple distill level kind of water with PPT level of contaminants. This is water. Drinking water or potable water is something completely different. Industrial water or grey water could be very different too. Produced water, where you have 250,000 ppm of total dissolved solid, TDS, and high NTUs. I mean, it's opaque kind of water, it's oily water and so on, are an additional challenge. So when people are talking about their water, they are talking about some kind of water, but not everybody is using the same definition of water. I think I see, even in the most, I would say, conservative world, which is the energy world, people drilling, I see some interest in treating water. I mean, you can make a lot of money, a lot of revenue by extracting oil and so on, but de facto, for 1 barrel of oil extract, you get between 5 and 50, depending on the age of the well, barrels of water to treat. And you cannot ignore that. And even if you are a shrewd business guy, only interested in short-term profit, you have to deal with local communities and you have to deal with what's going on this earth in order to at least reuse the water the best you can, or treat it to a point where it can be disposed of into the ecosystem, or reused for some other applications which are suitable. Not all those applications will be suitable, but there is a trend, a slow trend, and I believe regulation can help. There are a lot of forums this year in Paris. There will be a big forum at the end of the year having to do with that, the COP21, and this is a good opportunity to put water at least at the forefront of everybody's attention.